Giancarlo Stanton is a one-man wrecking crew and the major league leader in home runs. But Stanton's recent injury leaves speedster D. Gordon as the biggest threat in Miami's lineup. The Marlins should be familiar with Matt Duffy, whose clutch hitting in May led the Giants to a walk-off win and a split of the series. It's game one of the series, Giants-Marlins, next.
The road trip begins tonight. We're in Miami as we come to you from Marlins Park, game one of this three-game series, Giants and Marlins. Hi again, everybody. I'm Dwayne Kuiper. Alongside me is Mike Krukow. Everybody well rested. A day off yesterday here in Miami. And tonight, the Giants will try to get this road trip off on the right foot with Ryan Vogelsong on the mound.
Well, and Ryan Vogelsong is a guy that will really take advantage of a good ballpark that is big by dimensions and is forgiving to center field because he can pitch to a dead field. He has that type of command, and that'll be the key tonight. If he has the corner command early in the game, look for him to do well. Offensively, this club right now is clicking on all cylinders. Everything that they're doing up and down the lineup is working. They have a lot of contact hitters, a lot of hitters that grind out pitches, and then occasionally they might just throw up a home run, even here at Marlins Park. All right, should be fun tonight here in Miami. Vogelsong on the hill, and Dave Fleming's favorite, Matt Latos. Stay tuned. We'll take you to our Comcast Sportsnet studios for an update, and we'll do that right after this.
Cincinnati Bay Area is brought to you by Jack in the Box. Taste the new black pepper cheeseburger today, only at Jack in the Box. And by Toyota, the full-line automaker with the longest-lasting vehicles in America. Toyota, let's go places.
Back here at Marlins Park as we get ready for Giants and Marlins baseball. Our game time weather is presented by the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. Get to the beach. The admission-free boardwalk is now open daily. Outside 88, inside 77. See humidity very high as you'd expect. And the roof is going to be closed again as you would expect. All right, let's take a look at the Giants lineup. It'll look like this. It'll be Pagan, Panic, and then Matt Duffy. You can see what Duffy's done over his last 4 games. Then it'll be Posey, Belt, and Crawford. Susak is going to hit in the 7th slot, then Blanco, then Vogelsong. Marlins take the field, led out by Matt Latos.
Let's take a look at the numbers for Matt Latos. Latos, a big fella, 6'6", 245-pounder, 27 years of age, and he is in his 6th year at the big league level. This is what he's done this year at 12 starts. 2-5 with a 5.49 ERA, 56 strikeouts against 22 walks. He has a very unusual delivery for a guy his size in that he is right over the top. So a guy 6'6" with a high delivery, and one of his keys is always getting the knee-high location down, because that is a big-time tilt from his release point to a catcher catching it at the knees. With his fastball, you'll see anywhere from low to high 90s. He will sink and he will cut it. He's got a big curveball with a 12-6 drop, and then is a very effective strikeout pitch to righties and lefties. He also has a slider and a changeup. Lifetime against the Giants 4-3 with a 2.11 ERA. Let's take a look at the defense that the Marlins will employ tonight behind Matt Latos. Starting in the outfield from left to right, it'll be Yelich, Ozuna, and Suzuki. Good arms in center and right. Echevarria and Dietrich on the left side. Gordon and Bauer on the, or Bohr on the right side. And Real Muto, he is the guy going to be in the squad tonight, putting down the signs.
So the Marlins come into the action tonight. They've really struggled. They've lost 9 of 11 and 6 of 7. Ironically, the only win they've had in the last 7 games, they beat Clayton Kershaw.
This is the look at what Latos will throw. 65% of what you're going to see from him is going to be that fastball. The slider, splitter, curveball, changeup, I mean, those are all pitches he'll use. For a guy his size and with an overhand release, I mean, he really does have good command. And he is not afraid to throw any one of those pitches in a 3-2 count with the bases loaded, I might add.
So here's Angel Pagan to lead things off as we get started here in Miami. And the first pitch of the ball game is a called strike. So we get started here at 7:12. So by my watch, that's 2 minutes late. Here's the 0-1 delivery to Pagan, and Pagan takes low, hitting at 267. See the umpires, Chris Conroy calling balls and strikes, Hernandez, Berry, and Barrett from first to third.
Conroy, a low ball umpire. You're going to see a lot of knee-high strikes tonight, but it's a very consistent zone. It's a good zone to throw to because it doesn't change.
Pagan takes a bit wide. It's 2 balls and 1 strike. Latos looked in like he wanted it. Giants are 42 and 35. They're a half a game back of the Dodgers in the West. And this is fouled out of play. They've got the best road record in the National League. They're 21 and 15. And they're 8 and 6 against teams in the East. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Panic to follow, and then Duffy. And it's high, 3-2. Both Vogelsong and Latos faced each other in San Francisco and both picked pitch. Terrific. Payoff pitch to Pagan. And Pagan, it's a high fly ball to Yelich. And this game gets started on a fly ball to left. And that'll bring up Panic. Panic coming off a nice homestand, now hitting at .310. 6 home runs, 30 runs batted in. With Duffy to follow. And here he takes a pitch wide, 1-0. See what he's done in the hit department. He's 3rd in the National League. 3rd in the National League. 3rd.
Well, the best part about it is he's not surprised by it.
He's not.
So I guess if he's not, we should not be. The way he's done it is great strike zone discipline. He uses the whole field from foul line to foul line. And one of the most compact approaches to the ball in all of the National League.
Swinging and fouling straight back. It's 2 balls and 1 strike.
Ask Joe Panic, who's from New York, and if the Giants are on the East Coast here in Florida, would he see any relatives or family members or friends coming down? And he said, no, they're not coming to Florida. But Washington, different story.
2-1 pitch. Hit slowly off the glove of Latos, and Panic is going to have a base hit. If Latos doesn't touch it, and I'm not saying that he should avoid it, Gordon probably would have thrown him out.
Gordon has tremendous range, and even though Gordon was playing the pull and he was in the hole favoring the first base side, he'd have got that ball. His range is as good as anybody in the National League. A remarkable athlete.
So here's Duffy. Duffy with a good homestand has gotten his average over 300. And looked like he was taking all the way, and he takes a strike. Giants coming off a 4-2 homestand, taking 2 out of 3 from the Padres and the Rockies. Just outside to even the count at 1 ball and 1 strike. Duffy has faced Latos 3 times. He's 0 for 3. On the ground, diving at third is Dietrich. His throw to first is dropped by Bohr. And Duffy's probably going to have a hit, but Dietrich saved maybe a run for the Marlins.
It'll be really interesting to see how the official score here rules this. It's not the first hit in the game, so that is not even a consideration. Ball hit right on the screws. 2-hopper to the backhand, sprawls out, and if Bohr comes up with this, I mean, it's just a nice play. But if he were to be given an error on this thing, that would be a rough error.
Well, if they give him an error, that's wrong. Part of the reason he threw it in the dirt was because of how tough the play was.
Boy, Bohr had his foot right in the middle of the bag. It looked like Duffy may have tweaked his ankle a little bit going by.
E5.
That's a bad call.
Here's Buster Posey. Posey rolls it foul. Right at 300 for Buster. 11 home runs, 53 driven in. Swing and a miss on 92, which would lead you to believe that Buster was thinking something other than fastball.
Yeah, he got caught in between thoughts with that swing.
So Panic at second, Duffy at first. Got him.
91 with two-seam movement, just kind of bored right in on his hands. He swings over the top of it. So it winds up being a 3-pitch see ya. See the targeting from Real Muto. And the movement just comes right in. I mean, it wasn't that far from hitting him.
So here's Belt. Belt hitting at 264. And Belt fouls it back. Belt on the homestand was 5 for 21.
See a middle infielder and a catcher come to the mound with the pitcher. They're changing signs. Now Latos is staring down Joe Panic.
So Belt, who's 5 for 12 lifetime against Latos, is behind in the count 0-1. And he shoots it up the middle for a base hit. And here comes Panic. Panic's going to score. To third goes Duffy, and the Giants lead 1-0. So we got some Giants fans here tonight. And that'll bring up Crawford.
They're really not where he wanted to throw that pitch. They set the target inside. He wanted to be on the hands at the belt. It leaked out over the plate. And Belt takes care of the mistake, goes right back up the middle. And the Giants pick up where they left off over that last 5 games where they scored 38 runs back in San Francisco.
Crawford at 275. He's 3 for 10 in his career against Latos. And on the first pitch, he pops it up. So it'll be Echeverria who makes the catch, and that'll end the inning. Giants on the board after 1/2 inning. Giants 1, Marlins coming up. Come in with a record of 31-46. It'll be Gordon in the leadoff spot, and look out for him. You can see where he ranks. Yeah. It'll be Yelich who's starting to heat up, followed by Echeverria. Justin Bour will be the cleanup hitter. Then it's Ozuna, Dietrich, and Realmuto. Ichiro is going to hit in the A slot, and then Latos 9th.
On the hill tonight for the Giants will be the right-hander Ryan Vogelsong. Vogelsong, 2011 All-Star, making his 14th start of the season. 6-5 with a 4.05 ERA. 59 strikeouts in 80 innings, and really has just been spectacular. His last 2 outings, he has not allowed a run in 12 2/3 innings, and 8 hits in those last couple of outings. And with Vogelsong, you're going to see a guy who's got exceptional command of fastball with 2 types of movement. It'll be low 90s. He'll also cut the ball. He's got a curveball and a changeup. Lifetime against Miami 3-3 with a 1.89 ERA. So he's always enjoyed pitching against his franchise.
So here's Gordon hitting at .353. He's got some ownage on Vogelsong. He's 11 for 32 against Vogelsong. And the 1-0 pitch is a strike as Gordon showed bunt. On deck is Christian Yelich. In at third is Duffy, as you would expect. And this is lined right at Crawford, 1 out.
Let's take a look at the defense playing behind Vogelsong tonight for the Giants, starting in their outfield from left to right. It'll be Belt, Pagan, and Blanco. Crawford and Duffy on the left side of the infield. Panic and Posey on the right side. And Andrew Susak, he'll be in the squad, putting down the signs.
Here's Yelich hitting at .248, 4 home runs, 15 runs batted in. Did have 4 hits in that game against Kershaw. That's impossible.
Well, a left-hander against a left-hander?
Well, I don't think all 4 hits are off of Kershaw, but I think 3 of the 4 were. 1-0 pitch to Yelich, and he taps it foul. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Well, they've been waiting for him to get hot. It's starting to happen. As we mentioned, the 4-hit day and the start that the Dodgers threw Kershaw out there. And he's about 30 points under where he was this time last year. But he's starting to swing it a whole lot better.
Look out. As Yelich almost turned into that one. It's 2 balls and a strike. 418 to straightaway. Maybe not straightaway, but just to the left of straightaway center field. Outside 3-1. But I guess if you can just pitch to that monument, that's where you want to go.
Yeah, get him to hit the ball at the monument. There you go. I like that thing.
And that's ball 4.
All right, time now for our AT&T Uverse Rewind. Last Wednesday against the Padres, Ryan Vogelsong took the ball, went 6 strong. 5 hits, he didn't allow any runs, couple of walks, just on 88 pitches. As we mentioned, it was the second start in a row that he put up nothing but zeros. And that's our AT&T Uverse Rewind.
Here's Adeiny Echeverria, the very talented young shortstop for these Marlins. Off to a pretty good start, hitting at .283. And it's outside, 1 ball and no strikes. 1 for 6, Echeverria's numbers against Vogelsong, who had a no decision on May 10th against the Marlins. 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, no walks, 5 strikeouts. Out of play down the right field line as Vogelsong comes in with 92. Crawford in panic at double play depth. Outfield pretty much straight away. Up the middle. And a C&I base hit. Yelich is going to go to third. So the tying run now at third base. That ball went right through Vogelsong.
That's so aggravating. But watch the position he's in after he throws it. With his momentum going to first baseline, he's not square to the home plate. His chest is going right towards the Marlins dugout at first base. And because of that, he can't come back across his body. pitcher who's a little more squared up after he throws the ball would make a play there. And it does frustrate you because it goes right by, and you can hear it, you can smell it, you just can't get to it to catch it.
Here's Justin Bohr, the young power hitter for these Marlins. .254 for Justin Bohr. And his first curveball is high. 1 ball and no strikes. Yelich at third. Echeverria at first. Vogelsong sets. 2-0. So Vogelsong now a little bit out of whack. It's 2 balls and no strikes.
Yeah, he definitely has not found the release yet. He's a little bit late. And because of that, he's got a little sling right at the end of his delivery, which is causing him to lose command of the strike zone. If there was one place that he was missing up and away to a lefty consistently, that's an easy correct. But when you're all over the place, where she is right now, it makes it tough. But the thing about Vogelsong and every other veteran pitcher who's been around this game as long as he has been in, you make corrections after every pitch. Given enough pitches, he will find his release point.
Two balls, 1 strike.
Check that runner.
Echeverria, couple of steals. Out of play. It's now 2-2. Marlins are 18-22 at home. And against the National League West, they're 9-12. They just lost a series against the Dodgers where the Dodgers took 2 out of 3. There's 2 balls, 2 strikes. Got him.
Perfect cutter. Wrapped it right around it and tucked it in the outside corner at the knees. And that's the best pitch he's throwing tonight. Because this is exactly where he wanted to put it.
That's a strike.
It is. That's a rough at bat too. I mean, just absolutely nails it. In Bohr's mind, he'd given up on the pitch. He thought that was off the plate away.
So here's Marcell Ozuna, who's hitting at .264. 4 home runs, 26 runs batted in. And he shoots one to Panic on the backhand, and that'll end the inning. Nice play by Panic and Crawford. And Vogelsong will walk off the mound after getting out of that mini jam. 1-0 Giants.
our forward right choice. And what do you say we take a look at some defensive brilliance? Ground ball back up the middle, not a problem. Joe Panik to a backhand quick flip right to the belt, or to the letters across the chest of Brandon Crawford, I should say. A perfect flip. And that's our forward right choice. It gets Vogelsong out of the inning, and that's why we are 1-0 Giants going to the second. Yep, answered prayer.
So here's Susac. It'll be Susac, Blanco, and Vogelsong here in the second. Susac takes a called strike. 288 for Andrew Susac.
I don't think he agreed with that call. He thought it was low.
Had a little Sacramento body language going.
Yeah. But you'll see a lot of those low strikes with Conroy. Yeah, that's his zone.
Well, if you're Vogelsong, you might be sitting in the dugout going, "Yo, Andrew, stop. Don't be bragging on the umpire, because I want that same pitch."
And don't think that conversation doesn't go on. It absolutely does. Ooh. He hung a changeup and he was on it. You get a pretty good look from where the camera is angled behind Latos, is just to how high his release is. And you can see the downward plane that this ball goes to the knees with the high release. And that's the 12-6 break. It doesn't have a lot of slant to it, but I mean, it's rolling it right off the table.
Well, his body language isn't doing great that now either.
He could throw a 3-hopper up there and want it. Call the strike.
Susac fouls it back. There's Gregor Blanco. And then Ryan Vogelsong will hit third in this inning. Down the right field line, and that'll be out of play. One-two pitch. Here it is. Got him.
Right above the hand. Good pitch.
Well, it's time to cast your vote for your Giants to be part of the 2015 MLB All-Star Game. Starting the lineup, go to sfgiants.com/vote and cast your vote through the Esurance MLB All-Star Game ballot. Check it out. Here's Blanco. Blanco hitting at 303, making Latos wait. Now Latos is going to make him wait. So it's the waiting game right now. Out of play.
Latos is a guy who likes to work quick. He knew this when he was in Cincinnati.
Well, that means at some point Blanco's going to step out on him. He's going to tick him off.
Oh, and it will tick him off.
Bunt foul. It's 0-2. Vogelsong on deck. We're in the top of the second inning at Marlins Park in Miami. Well, 1-2. 13 now for Latos. Padres, Reds, Marlins, and there's even some talk that he could be a guy dealt before the trading deadline. Two and two. Latos keeps looking back at that hole in the mound.
It doesn't look like he's real comfortable with that mound. It's hard to believe that Latos only has 2 wins as we're in the last day of June.
Up the middle, and a base hit. So Blanco with a 1-out single. He's starting to swing the bat.
He really feels like he has had a revelation with his swing, and it has been because of time played with Nori Aoki, watching him use his hands. And when you talk to Aoki about hitting, I mean, he's really a student of the craft, and he has taken some of his philosophy, and Blanco's applying it.
Fastball for a strike to Vogelsong, who was showing bunt. Crashing Dietrich and Bohr.
What Blanco would do, he would bar his front arm and get his front arm straight and sort of drag the bat through the strike zone and really lose the inside part. Didn't really have great coverage to get to the inside pitch, especially the fastball.
And a perfect bunt for Vogelsong. Renuto only has one play. So Vogelsong gets the job done. Blanco now in scoring position. What we're talking about, look what he's done. 11 for his last 22.
Well, he's using his hands more. And he says he's getting to the ball quicker, especially the inside part of the plate.
So here's Pagan, who hit a fly ball to left field to open up the ball game. Belt with a 2-out base hit in the first. Giants looking for one here in the second. And this is tapped right back where it came from, and that'll end the inning. Dietrich, Realmuto, Ichiro coming up.
Area is brought to you by Bay Area Mini.
Home half of the second inning. Giants with a 1-0 lead. Derek Dietrich is going to lead things off. Then Realmuto, and then Ichiro. First pitch down low. Dietrich, 237, 3 home runs, 5 driven in. Got some power. Low, 2 balls, no strikes.
Dietrich from Cleveland, Ohio.
2-0 pitch. Here it is. Nope. 3-0.
Song still looking for the release of that fastball. Has not solved the puzzle. He's flirting with it, but it hasn't consistently been there for him.
And a strike.
Take a look at how he uses his pitches. 50% of what you're going to see from him is going to be that fastball. And you could also say 70% is going to be hard stuff because the cutter is like a fastball. And the other 30% between the curveball and the changeup.
Hit on the ground off the glove of Duffy. And it'll carry him out to belt. So Dietrich for the leadoff single. And here's Realmuto. So here's Realmuto hitting .240. Jake Peavy's here.
Got in today. Peavy going to pitch on Saturday.
Trimmed up that beard a little bit, didn't he?
I believe he's going to pitch on Friday. He did. Cleaned up. He's happy to be back in the big leagues. You can just tell. He'll pitch on Friday. Matt Cain will pitch on Thursday, the last game here. And Peavy will open it up in Washington.
So Dietrich aboard at first. Vogelsong pitching through traffic in the first inning. Here he takes wide, 1 ball and no strike.
We got some other good news in regards to the Giants getting healthier. As we mentioned, Cain will pitch on Thursday, coming off the disabled list. Then Peavy. And you see Jere Adrianza, who was activated today.
Yeah, standing next to Chris Heston.
Good news from Hunter Pence. Hunter Pence got to swing the bat, Fungo, with the ball off the tee for the first time today. He's pretty excited about that.
You know what the thing about beauty about Hunter Pence is he takes 1 swing with the Fungo off the tee and he goes, well, I'm ready.
Good.
So Vogelsong now has to come in. It's 2-0 to Realmuto. And a base hit to right field. Blanco will get to it. Dietrich has to stop at second. So Vogelsong's going to have to pitch to more traffic here in the second. Casey McGee designated for assignment. And Adrianza, as you saw, sitting or standing now in the Giants' dugout. Makes the Giants a little bit more versatile as far as a player that can play second and short, and a very good defensive player, I might add. But it's sad to see Casey McGee go. I really like the guy.
Yeah, he's a good man. I wish things would have gone better for him here.
So here's Ichiro, who takes wide.
Yeah, that's the 8th hitter that Vogelsong has faced in tonight's ball game. He has not thrown a first pitch strike yet. 0 for 8.
Well, that's usually one of the things he does well.
It is, normally.
So 1-0. Ichiro now asks for time. Latos on deck. On the ground, Crawford. Crawford to Panic. Panic to Posey, not in time. Ichiro might be 74 years old, but he can still get down the line.
You're right. And one of the reasons for it is he doesn't have a lot of backswing. Very similar to Nori Aoki in that regard. Or I should say Aoki's very similar to Ichiro because Ichiro was the idol of Aoki. You can see how quickly he gets out of that batter's box. And Ichiro, he may have a few years on him, but still in tremendous shape.
So not 74?
No, I mean,
44?
That was 4 flat.
Here's Latos, who can hit a little bit. But he's going to bunt here, and he bunts it foul.
Ichiro is 41 years old. He'll turn 42 in October.
Well, I hope I can run like that when I'm 41.
You could run like that when you were
I
41.
don't think so. I blew out in fantasy camp by then. Latos, by the way, is 4 for 13 on the year with an RBI. Buster Posey at first base tonight. Crawford and Panic at double play depth just in case Latos were to swing the bat. If not, Panic's got to cover first on the bunt. And there's the bunt. And Vogelsong is going to get the out. So a good job by Latos. Well, now you got a guy that hits Vogelsong well. And he also hit a line drive to Crawford in his first at bat. So we'll see what Vogelsong does. He does have a base to play with.
He's also got more hits than anybody else in the National League. So, yeah, you do have an open base. But the guy on deck, Yelich, has been hot. So there's your dilemma.
Into right center field. Nobody's going to get it. 1 run scores. Now it kicks away, and they're going to try to send in Gordon. And you know what? He's going to make it. Blanco kicked it around, and it ends up being a 3-run home run. I don't know if Blanco tried to flip it to Pagan. I think he did.
It absolutely splits the gap, and with the gaps as big as they are in this ballpark, yep, he did. He tried to backflip it to Pagan. And with Gordon's speed, unforgiving. He didn't need to slide. He could have walked in the last 30 feet.
So here's Yelich. I'm assuming they gave him a home run. Yep, home run. Yelich takes a strike. 0-2. Looked like a pitch that Vogelsong would like to have back.
Well, I mean, the one thing about Gordon, he's got a lot of hits, more than anybody else in the National League, but he doesn't like to take walks.
That'll end the inning. 3 runs on the board after 2. It's the Marlins 3, the Giants 1. By the way, his first of the year.
Now, you called it right with this little backflip attempt from Gregor Blanco as he dug it out. He tried to backflip it over to Pagan, and once that mistake was made, an easy call for Lenny Harris, the third base coach. But watch him go. He was sniffing triple right off the get-go, and then all of a sudden it turns into a four-bagger. He is low flying.
So here's Panic, and Panic takes a strike. So Latos now gets the pitch with the lead. Panic had an infield hit in the first. A 1 ball and 1 strike. It's Duffy and then Posey. Giants on the homestand found that they can come back. They've trailed a couple of times early. Panic lines this one into left field, a base hit. All right, here's our Geico quote. Bruce Bochy on Matt Duffy's season so far. He said he started out as a utility player, and he just forced the issue with the type of ball that he played. I hate to think of where we'd be without him. All right, well, we put it on a tee for you, Duff. Here you go.
Now make your manager look good. You say the same thing about Joe Panic.
Oh, absolutely. Duffy reached on an error in the first. Probably should have been a hit. Here he swings and misses, and it's 0-1.
I mean, that's the old-fashioned way of winning a job up here. You just get in the lineup and don't leave because of your production.
You remember Buster Posey was in the big leagues, but as a first baseman when he got called up in 2010, but he forced the issue. And Gino Lina was sent off to Texas. Foul back, 1-2. Panic with his lead. 2-2.
How about that year for Benji Molina, 2010? He got both rings, the World Series championship ring and the American League pennant ring that the Rangers won.
Doesn't happen very often, does it?
Nope.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Out of play. Yeah, his first at bat in the World Series. He got a standing ovation from Giants fans. Two balls, 2 strikes to Matt Duffy. On the ground, could be a pair. Jordan, Echeverria, Moore.
All right, time now for our T-Mobile Game Changer, and we go back to the 2012 NLDS Game 5, Cincinnati. Now Buster Posey steps up against Matt Latos with the bases loaded and does this. Second decker, grand slam, and the Giants would go on to win Game 5, which was the deciding game in that series. The Giants would go on to the NLCS. And that's your T-Mobile Game Changer.
Posey takes in the dirt. The game was by far from over at that point. The Reds made it interesting, as you knew they would.
And they had a great team.
Two 2-0 to Buster Posey. high and deep to left. Yelich back. It is out of here. And it comes on a 2-0 pitch, and it's 3-2.
Got him again.
Home run number 12 for Buster Posey.
You get a 2-run lead like Latos had at the start of the inning. You get behind the count, even to a home run hitter like Posey. You're going to challenge the strike zone in the 2-0. Posey was waiting for it. Just fastball right out at the belt. That is elevated on contact location, and he does not miss it.
So here's Belt. Belt takes low.
He almost hit that thing into the Clevelander.
Hit that ball good. Belt fouls it back. Belt with an RBI single in the first. Little pop-up into center field. Ozuna comes racing in, and he'll put it away, and that'll end the inning. Posey's home run is 12th of the year. Beautiful swing. Bye-bye, baby. 3-2 Miami.
Area is brought to you by Mendocino Redwood, available exclusively at the Home Depot.
Here in Miami as the sun sets, it's a 3-2 lead for the Marlins, and it'll be Danny Echeverria to lead things off, and the first pitch is high. Echeverria singled in the first inning. And this is hit out into the gap. Is anybody there? Pagan on the move, and he makes the running catch. He got a great jump. Nice play by Angel Pagan. And here's Justin Bohr.
He did get a great jump. And he had to have a great jump to get it. He played straight behind the bag at dead center. It's a little bit too much height, and that's all Pagan needed.
Bohr struck out looking in the first. Pitch wide, 1 ball and no strike.
Throwback, no batting gloves.
Pretty good pitch, but called the ball, 2-0.
Yeah, Conroy's zone is not a big zone, but I've always liked it because it's steady.
So Vogelsong has to come in, and he does. It's 2-1. Never understood why those big guys just didn't jump on that pitch. Deep to right. And gone into the upper deck. It's 4-2.
Well, you mean jump on it like that? I think that was where he was looking. He was looking up. And for Bohr, I mean, he's not a long arm guy. He's got a short swing. And I think middle in is up above the bell. That's his sweet spot. That's all he's got. 4 rows up in the second decker. That's a big boy.
Here's Ozuna. Ozuna bounced out to panic to end the first inning. Two and 0.
Behind the count a lot tonight. That has hurt Vogelsong.
Vogelsong rubs the ball up. Time to regroup. 3 balls and no strike.
That's one thing that a pitching coach and manager look at, though. When a guy's out there, he gives up a home run. What does he do with the next guy? Does he get right in that strike zone? Does he attack it? Vogelsong is not. He's nibbling.
So if you do that, I guess you're not going to get close pitches.
Well, the Mets are coming to San Francisco July 6th, 7th, and 8th. Monday 6th and Tuesday the 7th, both 7:15 games. And Wednesday the 8th of July is day baseball in the city with a 12:45 start. If you want tickets, go to sfgiants.com/tickets.
Dietrich singled in the second. So Vogelsong now out of the stretch. And this is hit out to Belt. So Belt coming in, still coming in, but he'll get there and make the catch. And that'll bring up Real Muto. Realmuto singled in the second inning. And a strike, so it's 0-1. Here's the location, Mike, you're talking about.
That was a changeup. Just right out over the plate. And up. And for a guy like Bohr, I mean, that's just what he's looking for. He's looking for mistakes, middle, in, and up.
Curveball down low, 1 ball and 1 strike. And a quick toss. Ozuna really doesn't run much. Figured he would, center fielder, but he's only got 1 steal.
still have to make them stop. That's all you have to do.
And a base hit to left field. And that'll bring up Ichiro. They forget he's going to come out. He may sense that he needs to settle Vogelsong down a little bit. Might be just hot. Not hot like temperature hot, but just ticked off.
Well, he is ticked off. It's been frustrating for him because he can't quite get the same feel of the ball that he's had the last several starts. In his last 2 outings, I mean, he was throwing darts with a baseball. He just didn't miss any locations, it seemed, especially with the fastball. But here tonight, it has been a real struggle for him to get on top of hitters. And just has not had the same type of command that we've seen him have. And just like that, we see Mike Broadway getting up and starting to throw out of the Giants bullpen.
Ichiro reached on a fielder's choice in the second. It'll be pitch number 49 for Vogelsong in the game. Now, Ichiro's never had a hit against Vogelsong. He's 0 for 12.
Not many guys that can say that.
I know. So that's most career at bats. It's 0-1 to Ichiro. Close. 1 ball and 1 strike. Curveball hit up the middle. Vogelsong's got it, and that'll end the inning. So the damage is the home run by Justin Bour. 4th inning coming up. It's 4-2 Marlins. '78 stretch. Big Mac hit career home run number 500, and it happened at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium off of Jamie Easterly, and it happened in the top of the second in game 1 of a doubleheader. Way to go, Stretch. I knew you could do it. You talk about a great swing. He had a great swing.
Yeah, that's one of the quickest swings for a big man.
It's Duffy has that same kind of where you think you could get in on Stretch, You couldn't get in on strike.
No. I do not make a mistake down and into him, because it was over.
So here's Crawford. Crawford's going to lead things off. Crawford saw one pitch and popped out in the first inning. Here he takes low and in. Susak to follow. And then Blanco.
Well, that is the guy that is the big man around here.
Swing ain't going to miss. That's Jose Fernandez, who's going to pitch on Thursday.
Coming off of Tommy John surgery, missed a whole year. Boy, are they excited in this city to have him coming back.
Crawford gets underneath this one. It'll be Gordon. And Gordon will put it away. One out. And here's Susak. Susak struck out in the second. Four 2 Marlins here in the fourth. Tapped right back to Latos, and that's going to be out number 2. So that's one of those where you'd rather strike out. You would.
No, it would have been worse if he checked his swing.
So here's Blanco. Blanco singled right back up the middle in the second inning. One ball and no strike. Yep, the girls are here.
Yeah, the Gamer Babes came all the way to South Beach.
And a strike. Lifted out to Yelich. So this should be a nice inning for Latos. 1, 2, 3. Few pitches. And Latos is going to lead things off.
accounts. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of San Francisco Baseball Associates, LLC.
Well, have you heard about Pence on the Fence? It's a true Giants fan must-have. Friday, July 10th is social media night presented by AT&T. Your special event package includes a game ticket to see the Giants take on the Phillies and your very own Pence on the Fence doll. Reminder, to receive the Pence on the Fence doll, you need to purchase the special event ticket. Go to sfgiants.com/special events.
So here's Latos. And Latos takes the strike. Latos, Gordon, Yelich. 4th inning. Latos with a sacrifice bunt in the second. Well, 1-2. If you just joined us, D. Gordon hit a 3-run inside the park home run into right center field in the second inning. 2-2. Hit well into left center field, but Pagan's got room, and he'll make the catch. This was the inside the park home run. Came in the second inning with 2 outs. First base was open.
First inside the Parker in his career. This is the first home run he hit this year, the first one in this ballpark. But with his speed, you have to have no mistakes in any part of that relay. That's how much pressure his speed puts on you.
It's not going to be the last one if he plays here a while. Plus, he's got ownage on Vogelsong now. 12 for 33.
But you just don't have to throw him strikes.
And that runs in on Gordon. It's 1 ball and no strike.
I mean, he's got 319 at bats so far this year. He's got 10 walks. So you know he wants to swing the bat. You have to use that aggressiveness against him.
So Duffy in at third. Bounces this one slowly to Panic. Panic will make the play.
And that's where you have to pitch him. You have to pitch him in on his hands. He does have long arms, and he does have a hole inside. He is an exceptional athlete.
So here's Yelich. Yelich is 0 for 1. He struck out in the second. Drew a walk in his first at bat. And a breaking ball for a strike, and it's 0-1. Fastball high. Get up the middle. Crawford there. Crawford throws in a nice inning for Vogelsong, and he will lead things off in the 5th. Here in Miami, it's 4-2 Marlins.
Maria is brought to you by Amici's East Coast Pizzeria. When you want the best pizza in town, Amici's delivers.
Marlins with a 4-2 lead here in the 5th inning. Long, over 3,000 miles.
All the way from Burlingame.
Well, the song takes a strike. Well, the song with a sacrifice bunt in the 2nd. Fouls it back. Vogelsong rolls it to 3rd. Dietrich will throw him out. Bringing Pagan to the plate. Angel Pagan tonight is 0 for 2. Guys patiently waiting for Pagan to get hot.
Well, he's flirted with it.
And it looked like he was taking all the way, and he takes a belt high strike. Oh, 1 pitch. 0-2.
So you can guess no more.
Pagan is now 2 for 17 in his career against Matt Lato.
Well, such an unorthodox delivery, over the top, tall. It's unusual. And you look at the numbers that Pagan has had against him, and I don't think he sees them very well, because it's not a hard 2 for 17. And there is such a thing.
So it's 2-2. Panic to follow here in the 5th inning. Foul back. So Pagan waited nicely, and he could not put it in play, but he stays alive. 2 balls, 2 strikes. See Panic. Matt Duffy waiting on the 2nd step of the dugout. Got him. And that's the 3rd strikeout for Lato. So here's Panic. Joe tonight is 2 for 2. That'd average up to 314. And he takes a strike, and it's 0-1. Panic didn't think so. He thought it was low.
First pitch changeup. So Lato's trying to figure out the puzzle of Joe Panic. He's been beat twice on fastballs. So now he's softballing. Open him up with a changeup, then come in and try and bounce a curveball at home plate. That curveball that he bounces on home plate, that gets a lot of swings and misses at, especially from hitters from the left side.
1-2.
Another changeup. So 3 pitches, 3 off-speed pitches here. Clearly trying to mix things up after Panic beat him twice with base hits off fastballs earlier in the game. But 3 off-speed pitches, fastball definitely set up.
On a play.
And there it was. was. So basically pitching backwards, using slow stuff to set up the fastball.
And another 1-2 pitch to Panic. Is in tight 2-2.
Just a little cutter inside.
He will pitch on Thursday. 2-2 pitch. Stays alive.
So Lato's really dragging Joe Panic through the garden. He's throwing everything at him in this at bat.
And he pulls this one. It's a fair ball. And that's going to end the inning. His Bourne makes a nice play. Vogelsong will come out. He'll face the Beef. Tomorrow night against Dan Herron. So both starters, right-handers, will be making their 16th start. Herron's pitched pretty good.
He really has. I mean, Danny Herron at one point said that he wasn't going to leave the state of California.
So here's Echeverria to face Ryan Vogelsong, and a first pitch strike, and it's 0-1.
So the Marlins convinced Danny Herron. Come east, he has, and he's having a nice season.
Outfield straight away. Belt is off the line to left now. Echeverria asks for time. And a bunt, and it's foul. It's 0-2. Vogelsong with 62 pitches. Gave up the 3 runs in the second, a home run to Bohr in the third.
I think Fernandez has had too much bench time.
Time to go. Just outside, 1-2.
Good 0-2 pitch right there.
Hit on the ground towards the hole and into the hole. A base hit. Echeverria really reached out.
All right, that was not a hanger. 1-2 count, you throw it down below the strike zone, and the guy squares you up and pulls it. And boom, just like that, he's right back in the stretch.
Justin Bour struck out looking in the first and hit a solo home run in the third. It's the seventh hit for the Marlins. They've also walked twice. 1 ball and no strikes. Kind of been the night for Ryan Bogason, behind 1-0.
It's just so unusual to see him fall behind, especially in that first pitch. And it's not much fun to be constantly having to face hitters when they have leverage on you ahead in the count.
There's a strike.
Especially guys like Bour that have power.
Hammers this one, and Pagan is going to drift back and make the catch. Bullet.
That was right on the screws. But if you can have your power guys take on center field, I mean, that's the idea. Just don't let them pull it.
So here's Ozuna. Ozuna is 0 for 1. And he fouls this one back and out of play. No balls and 1 strike. And a quick toss diving back in. Echeverria.
When you look at this Marlins team, you think, you know, they've got pretty good speed, but yet they don't have a lot of stolen bases. And the one guy, D. Gordon, has 26. He's been also thrown out 11 times. But beyond him, I mean, there isn't a lot there.
Good pitch.
I mean, Echeverria last year had 18 steals, and this year he just hasn't been running. You don't know if his legs are bothering him or for whatever reason he's not going. But this year his running game has really been stagnant.
Yep. So a quick 0-2 to Marcell Ozuna. Runner goes. Swing and a miss. 2-sack throw late. So a steal for Echeverria, his third of the year.
Man, that's a big play. That's a 90-foot gift that puts you in scoring position. Pretty good jump. Bogason paying more attention to the hitter in that particular instance because he was not quick.
Dietrich is 1 for 2. His last at bat, he popped out the belt in left field. And he bounces this one foul right at the end of the Giants dugout. It's no balls and 1 strike. Outside, not by much. 1 ball and 1 strike. Dietrich steps out. Mr. Posey, what does he do in between pitches?
Gets in the squat.
He becomes a catcher.
Come on. Catchers, that's how they wait in line at the show.
Outside. 2 balls and 1 strike. Two and 1. Here it is to Dietrich. Fouled at the plate. 2 and 2.
Next pitch will be number 75. That's about where you want to be at the end of the 5th inning. But a lot of his 74 pitches that have been out of the stretch.
Two pitch. Here it is. Hit foul, but that'll curl into the seats down the left field line.
There you see the distribution. Cleanest inning, number 4. At 75. It's really not that far off where he should be.
Belt moving over, still moving over, and Belt makes the running catch. And that'll end the inning. Nice play, Brandon Belt. He went a long ways to track this down, and he's pretty sure-handed. Nice play. 4-2 Marlins.
Giants take on the Rockies. Matt Duffy had a triple in the first. He had a double in the third. And then the 6th inning, he steps up and leaves Earth. And he hit them all off Kyle Kendrick. He had a hit, we think, was taken away from him, although we do believe it would have been a double. But a 3-hit day, 3 legs of the cycle. And that's our Togo's big play, the Togo way.
So here's Duffy. Duffy takes a strike. He's 0 for 2. Fouls this one down the right field line, and a quick 0-2 to Matt Duffy. Reached on an error by Dietrich. We thought should have been a hit in the first. On deck, Buster Posey. That's what pitchers try to do. They think they can get in there.
Got him.
A change up that just sort of worked its way in towards Duffy. Winds up swinging over the top.
Buster Posey hit his 12th home run of the year in the third.
A 2-0 challenge fastball at the belt. And Posey says, thank you very much. Home run number 12.
What does Latos do? He comes right back in with a fastball. And another one, and it's another than 2.
27 RBIs, the most he's ever had in a single month. He is going to hate to see June fall off the calendar.
One and 2 to Buster Posey. On deck is Belt. Pops this one out of play.
Good location there.
So Latos, 80 pitches. Posey lifts this one into left center field. He's got a base hit. He's going to go for 2, and the throw is not in time. Posey, with one of those miracle slides, has got a double.
No argument from D. Gordon, so I don't know if the Marlins are going to challenge it. They may have a look at it. Dan Jennings, the skipper, got to the top step and then said, okay, we're good. But yeah, how about creativity and body control? Ozuna, who's got a good arm,
Like
throws just a little wide the bag.
He may have surprised Ozuna.
Kind of swings around and touches the third base side and just does avoid the tag of D. Gordon. Nice.
So here's Belt. Belt with a breaking ball, and it's foul.
Another idea of just how far he went to the left side of that bag to avoid that tag.
Oh, 1 to Belt. Belt bounces this one to Bohr.
Well, Friday, July 10th is the third Orange Friday Happy Hour at AT&T, presented by Lagunitas Brewing Company. You can join us at the pregame Happy Hour featuring live music and entertainment from Resurrection, a Journey cover band. Special event ticket will include access to the party, a complimentary Lagunitas beer or soft drink, and a ticket to the Giants-Phillies game. So go to sfgiants.com and check it out.
So here's Crawford. Giants have Posey now at third with 2 outs. Crawford has popped out twice, once to short and once to second. And a strike, and it's 0-1.
Big flop curveball to get over there and steal strike. Nobody's going to go look for that pitch off of him ever on a first pitch.
Crawford a half swing. Here comes Posey. They got to play at the plate. Posey scores. It's 4-3. Really terrific anticipation by Buster Posey.
Had to be perfect. Real Muto really moves well behind the plate. And as that ball kicked away from him, I mean, there's only way you get that kind of a jump is to come down in your secondary lead and anticipate a ball in the dirt. Watch the fly of the ball. And watch Posey. There's zero hesitation. If there was, he's out. So the Giants get to within 1.
And he might tell you, Mike, that with 1 out, he might not have gone. Crawford lines it foul.
And no contest. Does indeed beat it by a bunch.
So it's 0-2 to Crawford. 1-2. Crawford holds up. 2-2. Yes, indeed.
That's such a tough pitch to hold up on. And again, that's the 12-6 break on the curveball. And if you roll it off of a kitchen table, it's kind of the break that this ball has because of that high over the top release of Latos. And he's just trying to bounce it on home plate.
Crawford rolls it slowly foul. It's 2-2 to Brandon Crawford. Crawford rolls this one fair to Justin Bour, and that's going to end the inning. Giants pick up a run. Bottom of the 6th coming up.
is brought to you by Heffernan Insurance Brokers. Insurance and financial services for you and your business. Visit hefins.com and by Xfinity, home of the most live sports.
Log on to csnbarea.com as insider Alex Pavlovich provides wire-to-wire reporting of the Giants with breaking news, video, special features, and more only on csnbarea.com. Here's JT Realmuto to lead things off. He's 2 for 2 against Vogelsong. And this is going to carry out to Pagan. Yes, he makes the catch. What a great play by Angel Pagan. 1 down in the 6th inning.
Another good at bat from Realmuto. He had 2 hits coming into this swing of the bat. He had 1 taken away. Really, I like the shot here. You can see the jump that Pagan gets. That ball having a little cut that was working away from him. At the last minute, he had this completely extend out to a backhand.
I think that ball sailed on him a little bit.
I agree. Nice play.
Ichiro's 0 for 2. And a strike. One more look at this nice play. The extendo by Angel Pagan.
Could have knuckled on him.
High to Ichiro, the ball and a strike. Two and 1. Lopez. Getting it. Cole Gillespie's on deck. 3 and 1. Steve Cishek in the bullpen getting loose. Ichiro takes high, ball 4. So here's Gillespie. Made 1 time, San Francisco Giant. And a quick toss, and Ichiro is back.
2013. Just for 9 at bats, though.
Gillespie's 0 for 2. Both at bats coming as a pinch hitter. Santos joins Lopez. Giants got this back to a 1-run game. Bruce Bochy wants to keep it just like that before they get to the 7th. And a strike to Gillespie. Ichiro with his lead. He does not go, and that pitch is wide, and that evens the count.
Gillespie, Pac-12 guy, went to Oregon State. He's a co-captain of the 2006 National Championship team. He did not play with Susac at Oregon State. He was there ahead of him. A couple of Beavers. Did you see the secret Beaver handshake?
Yeah, I did. Absolutely. It's pretty cool. 1 ball and 1 strike. Song chasing Ichiro back. He's got 6 steals. He's been thrown out 4 times. Runs inside, 2 balls and a strike.
Trying to pound the knees, get that ground ball. Wilson knows that he's due to hit in the 7th. This is it for him. This inning is as far as he's going, but he wants to walk off this inning without having anybody from the pen come in.
Swing and a miss. 2-2.
One of the things about Vogelsong that's been a bit unusual today is his struggle to command the fastball. He hasn't had a problem commanding the breaking balls.
Two balls, 2 strikes.
He shook off the fastball and slider to get to the curve again.
Got him. Cusack hangs on. Nice pitch. 4 strikeouts. And here's Gordon. So Vogelsong now with 87 pitches. Be interesting to see if Suzuki would go now. Even if he's thrown out, you'd have Gordon lead off the 7th. He does not go, and that's tapped to Vogelsong. And that's going to end the inning. So Vogelsong settles in, and for the Giants, it'll be Cusack to lead things off. Brought to you by your local Toyota dealer. Latos is out of the game. He allowed only 2 earned runs. He threw 90 pitches. Vogelsong, 6-inning pitch, 3 walks. He allowed 4 runs. Posey's 2 for 3. He's got a big fly. Gordon hit an inside the park home run, his first home run of the year. And the Marlins are hanging on to a 1-run lead. When it's time for a change, think Speedy Oil Change in auto service, your oil change tune-up and smog experts.
Steve Cishek, the new pitcher now for the Marlins. 26th time that he has come in. 1-5 with a 5.76 ERA. He's a side armor, and he throws hard. He's going to be right around 90 miles an hour. Hard slider and a changeup. Started the season off, and he was the closer, and he really fell on hard times. They sent him out minor leagues to get cleaned up, and he came back, and he's been throwing the ball well.
And he's facing Susac, and Susac takes a called strike. So Cishak facing forget it.
Cishak against Susac. Yeah.
That's at 93. It's 0-2. Blanco. And then a pinch hitter, you would think. Way outside, 1-2 to Andrew Susac. He struck out in the second and then hit a slow roller back to Latos in the fourth. And he got him.
That's rough. Perfect pitch. Big sweeping slider, and this is the stuff that he had all last year. We thought he was one of the nastiest guys in the National League East. He assumed the role of closer and really did a nice job. I mean, that thing starts off inside, then comes all the way across the plate. And I mean, in an absolute perfect location. It's just a big league hang with him.
Blanco fouled down the left field line and out of play.
Ishikawa on deck.
Inside to Blanco. We're in the 7th inning. Is Cantos now the only reliever in the Giants bullpen throwing? Blanco takes wide. 2 balls and a strike. Blanco bounces this one. 2-4. 2 outs. And here's Ishikawa. So for Travis Ishikawa, this will be Ishikawa's 4th at bat. And Cishak is going to depart. Ishikawa, by the way, is 0 for 3. So we're going to get a new pitcher. It's 4-3 Marlins, and we'll be back. Michael, talk about the game with Murph and Mac on KMBR 680, the sports leader. It's a 4-3 lead for the Marlins. Outside of this beautiful yard, now inside.
Yeah, it definitely is a space-age ballpark. New pitcher now for the Marlins is Mike Dunn, one of two lefties that they have in their bullpen. 34th time that he's come in. Throws hard. I mean, you're going to see low to mid-90s with the fastball. He's got a little natural cut to it. Two types of breaking ball, curveball and a slider. Lefties hit 208 against him. 26 strikeouts at 25 2/3. But he will give you some pitches up.
Ishikawa pulled back. Here it's Maxwell. And Maxwell takes wide, 1-0. See the numbers for Maxwell. And a strike. Basically what Bruce Bochy's hoping for here is that Maxwell can run into one with 2 outs. Two balls and 1 strike. Angel Pagan on deck. Two and 2.
84 right through the outside corner, but up.
Everybody left the field except Justin Maxwell.
Well, it would have been the first time we've seen this called a strike all night long. It was close.
Inside.
It is. But the way that Real Muto set his glove, and the way that he framed it, he thought he had the call. So did Dunn.
So there's the walk. And now Pagan's going to hit. Pagan is 0 for 3.
See some action. Caps, the right-hander, Carter Caps.
Outside to Pagan. Maxwell with his lead. 2-0. So count leverage now for Angel Pagan.
That outside corner with a little backdoor breaking ball. He's not missing by a whole bunch.
Three and 0.
I always thought Caps had great stuff, and there was a time he was a closer, but he just has a tendency to fly that front side. He doesn't have great command of his stuff.
Nope. That's a 4-pitch walk. And now it's back-to-back walks, and Panic's going to hit.
A walk, and then a walk, and a rally for free.
So now you got the tying run at second base. And you got a guy that hits lefties pretty well in Joe Panik.
So Chuck Hernandez, the pitching coach for the Marlins, going to come out, try and get his mind cleared up so that his concentration gets back to the glove. I don't think you can smell when a guy gets mechanical. He just gets a little glazed look because his concentration is between his ears. You forget to compete with that guy in that batter's box. And sometimes as a pitching coach, you just kind of have to rattle the brain a little bit, get a guy back to where he's competing. When you don't have a feel for the release and you don't have the confidence in your command, it's tough.
Panik is 2 for 3. Maxwell at second. Pagan at first. One ball and no strikes. Now all of a sudden now Marlins have somebody up in their bullpen, as you would expect.
So Carter Capps has slowed down a little bit. He's ready to go. Carter Capps, you see him in this game tonight, he's one of the more unusual relief pitchers in the game.
2 balls, no strikes.
Just cannot find the strike zone. The longer it goes, the harder it is to throw a strike. But Panic's not going to help him.
And a strike. So mock cheer from the fans here at Marlins Park. It's 2-1 now to Panik. 13 pitches, 3 strikes. 2-2. That was pretty nasty right there.
Oh, he's got good stuff. No doubt about that. When they put him in the closer role, I mean, there were times when he was dominant, go right through teams. But then there's other times like tonight where he struggles with confidence and command. This is just 94 away from the target. They set it away. He winds up going across the plate in, middle thigh. Pretty good mistake.
Got him. Walks 2, strikes out Panik. It remains 4-3 Marlins. Famous. It's a 4-3 lead for the Marlins. When it's time for a change, think Speedy Oil change and auto service, your oil change tune-up and smog experts.
George Cantos, the new pitcher now for the Giants, 37th time that he's come in. 2-0 with a 1.66 ERA. Cantos has really been spectacular this first half. And that's pitching to everybody. Righties, lefty, doesn't matter.
So here's Yelich, and Yelich takes a strike. Yelich 0 for 2, drew a walk in the first. And that's down the left field line, past Duffy. It'll be at least a double. So Yelich at second base. Phillies will be at AT&T Park the weekend of July 10th. The Saturday game, the 11th, the first 20,000 fans are going to receive a World Champions license plate courtesy of Good Neighbor Pharmacy. Visit sfgiants.com/tickets.
That's exactly what Yelich will do. I mean, he really has a nice opposite field approach.
So here's Echeverria, and we'll see what Echeverria does with Yelich at second base. Nobody out. And he hits a pop-up, so that's not going to do anything.
But it's a strikeout.
One out.
And that's what you're hoping for, a non-productive out, and Cantos gets it. Pitching for the strikeout, you get a one-pitch pop-up. That's even better.
Yeah, look, if you're late in the game and you need to add on, you need to get that guy to third. Or get him in. I mean, that's ultimately what you want to do. Bohr is homered in 3 at-bats. And he takes outside, and Susak immediately goes out. Have a chat. I don't think Susak got crossed up. And the 1-0 to Justin Bohr is a strike.
Cutter, steal strike one. And he's done that a lot with that cutter. And you know that he's been scouted. You know that these teams have a book on him as to what he likes to throw first pitch. But it doesn't make a difference because he doesn't tip the pitch with any spin. It's a pitch he'll throw 88 to 90 miles per hour with just a little movement that's about 4 or 5 inches, sometimes more. But it just steals strikes.
Hit slowly to Joe Panik. Moore is out. Yelich to third, and the hitter will be Marcell Ozuna.
And for Cantos, you know, he had the magic pitch when he first came up here, and that was his slider, which is a really a big downward biting slider, which is unusual. He throws it hard. But now he's got another one, that little cutter. Just doesn't ever seem to really get squared up. And it gives you that feeling of invincibility when you're a pitcher. But you have something you can throw that other guys can't hit.
Ozuna is 0 for 2. He walked in the third. Low, 1 ball and no strikes. Yelich at third with 2 outs. 6 hits for the Giants, 8 hits for the Marlins. In the 8th inning for the Giants, they'll have Duffy, Posey, and Belt, followed by Crawford, Susac, and Blanco. On the swing, 1 ball and 1 strike.
Angel Hernandez, first base umpire, making that call. I don't think Ozuna looks very enthusiastic about
no
that
Christmas card. Nope.
So he's not sending one to Hernandez now?
No. Off the shin guard of Susac, and that stung. It's 1-2.
Ah, here's the previous check swing and a 1-0 count on the slider. Did he go?
He did not.
I'm sorry. If he hits that ball, it's out of the ballpark. Just different perspective. One from a hitter, one from a pitcher.
No, I think I'm pretty fair about it. One and two. Out in front of home plate. Susac's got to pick it up and throw, and they got him. No margin for error, and Susac throws him out. Duffy, Posey, Belt, 4-3 Marlins. Ballpark, and of course you're at the ballpark. Time for fun. Mom's showing you how to do the bill of the cap. Giants fans are here, taking group photos, sending it back home. Wish you were here. The Clevelanders doing fine. Mike and I'll be there in that pool right after the game doing the wrap. The wrap will be done in the pool by John, Dave, Mike, and yours truly. That's right. They went just over 3,000 miles, Burlingame to Miami, to check the Giants out and to see us in the pool for the wrap. And that's our Amici's Fun at the Ballpark. It's going to be awesome. It's time for a change. Think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service. Your oil change tune-up and smog experts.
Well, Carter Capps, the new pitcher now for the Marlins. He is their setup, and this is what he has done in 17 games, 19 and 2/3 innings. And check out the strikeouts, 35 against 4 walks. And you're going to see mid to high 90s, and sometimes you're going to see 100. Curveball, slider, changeup. He is nasty with some herky jerk, and we believe he is illegal.
Well, when he releases the ball, he's 4 inches closer to the plate than he should be.
Well, and in the rule book, the back foot, the foot you push off the rubber with, is called the pivot foot. And it says that the pivot foot has to be in contact with the pitcher's plate, the rubber, as you deliver the pitch. Now watch him push off and then jump about 1.5 feet. I mean, you're putting 1.5 feet on your fastball. How can that be legal?
I love that. 1-2.
But he has definitely figured out a way to beat the system. Big guy, 6'5", 220 pounds.
Gaylord Perry must think that this must be his favorite pitcher.
Well, he's from North Carolina, so yeah.
Anybody that can figure out a way to beat the system, Gaylord's all over it.
Well, he has figured it out.
Lefty takes it. No, he did not. Angel Hernandez is in the throw up the right arm mode.
Yeah, he can't wait to get in the pool out beyond left field after the game.
Oh, it's killing me.
Did he go? Well, yeah, I guess if Ozuna win, he win. And that's the guy who's making the ring him up.
Well, then he's the only guy this year that's making that call. So here's Buster Posey. Buster fouls it back.
Buster Posey in the 6th inning takes a single and says, I'm going for 2. And then with a ball in the dirt that just skips away from Real Muto, he comes in. And that made it 4-3.
One ball and one strike. Foul back, 1-2.
Caps came up with the Seattle Mariners in 2012. And when the Marlins traded Logan Morrison to Seattle, this was the guy that came over to Miami. He's 24 years old.
And Posey out swinging. 2 down.
So 2 check swings on the same slider, one from Duffy, one from Posey, and neither one can hold up. So watch the launch, and this is how much closer he's getting to pushing off. There's the first stride. Now this is where he pushes and drives. Now that's where he pushes off, and he gets the drive that unloads his hips into the pitch. And that is 1.5 feet closer to the hitter than what the mound allows for. That can't possibly be legal.
Belt fouls it. It's no balls and 1 strike.
But the rule book says you have to be in contact with the pitcher's rubber. And how is that legal? It's not. You get some nastiness from your right-hander. I mean, these are the kind of guys that belt hits right here.
Yeah, it's sometimes deep. 1-2.
Wrap around breaking ball. I don't even know that ball could be hit. And I think Bell's thinking the same thing. Well, better the 2nd strike than the 3rd strike.
Two to Belt.
That was a pretty good pitch after the one was called low to get to the 2nd strike. You got to have some guts to take that thing. As quick as that break comes at you. And you don't have a lot of time.
Got him, and that'll end the inning. Cap strikes out the side. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th. It remains 4-3.
Insurance Giants post-game live. Highlights, reaction, and analysis. And it's all coming up right after the game.
4-3 Miami. When it's time for a change, think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service, your oil change tune-up, and Smog Experts.
So Gene Munchie, the new pitcher for the Giants, 27th time that he has come in. 1-0 with a 5.20 ERA. And since coming back off the disabled list, we've really seen a difference in the command and the performance of his forkball and split finger. And he's right. You're going to see a fastball that's low to mid-90s with a forkball and a little nickel slider. Starting to throw a split, too.
So here's Dietrich, or Dietrich, I beg your pardon. He's 1 for 3. And he takes outside for a ball. Realmuto on deck, and then Ichiro. Just outside, 2 balls and no strikes. No swing, 3-0.
Ted Barrett, crew chief.
And a 4-pitch walk to open up the bottom of the 8th. So here's Realmuto, who's had 3 really good at-bats. He's 2 for 3. So 5 straight pitches out of the strike zone.
Marlins showing bunt. And such is the life of the guy hitting the 7th spot. Hits 3 bullets, has 3 good at bats, and comes up his 4th time. Bunt.
Bunt. Bunt. Bunt.
Here's what you wanted to see if Realmuto was going to tip his hand and show bunt. I don't think he's completely convinced he's going to stay on the bunt.
There's a strike. So the first strike that Machi has thrown. There's Ramos. It would be A.J. Ramos. He will pitch the 9th. Swing and a miss. 1-2. Get on the ground slowly. It'll be Duffy in front of Crawford, and they didn't get him. And they didn't. Realmuto beat it out.
Good speed for a catcher. Third baseman, you go as far over the left and you take everything you can get, period. Duffy went a long way for this. Had a little bit of a double clutch there, and that was all Real Muto needed to beat it out.
Here's Ichiro.
One situation, but no guarantee with the way this guy handles the bat.
Sutek's got to hurry, and they got him.
He makes it look easy, doesn't he?
He does. He absolutely does. Miguel Rojas is going to be the pinch hitter. Well, join us tomorrow, same time, Giants and Marlins, 3:30 pregame live. And right at the top of the hour at 4 o'clock, we'll have the first pitch of this ball game. Chris Heston's going to start for the Giants against Dan Herron, and we'll have it for you right here on Comcast Sportsnet Bay Area. So Dave Righetti is out. Rojas has only had 3 at-bats. He's 0 for 3.
He just got called up from the AAA club, which is in New Orleans, and he was leading the team in hits. So, he's got a little confidence. So, Dave Righetti out to let Machi know how the skipper wants this handled.
So the infield is in, as you would expect.
Pure strikeout situation for Machi.
Low and away, backhanded by Susak. New baseball put into play. 1 ball and no strike.
Think that Rojas is going to see something to hit with Gordon on deck. I doubt that the Giants want to see that base at first base given up to by way of a walk.
Hit to right. Blanco's there. He's going to make the catch. His throw is going to go to third, and it's going to be late. Coming in to score is Dietrich, who opened up the inning with a walk, and it's now 5-3.
The walks do come back and haunt, but a nice at bat from Ramos to get the sac fly. That's what the situation called for.
So Machi's going to be done. So Machi departs. Lopez will come in. It's 5-3 Marlins.
broadcast Sportsnet Bay Area. You'll get Giants clubhouse reaction, Kings and Warriors ready for free agency, and you'll get U.S. women's soccer highlights. All that and more tonight, Sportsnet Central.
It's 5-3 Marlins.
The pitcher now for the Giants will be Javier Lopez, the only left-hander in the bullpen now. With Jeremy Affeldt in the bullpen, Javier Lopez assumes all the duties. There's two left-handers stacking up. D. Gordon, Christian Yelich, so these are the numbers. Lefty's hitting 119. And he's going to try and whittle that down right now.
A strike to Gordon. He's got the big hit in this game, and inside the park, 3-run home run. At the feet of Gordon, 1 ball and 1 strike. Gordon's only faced Lopez twice. He's 0 for 1 with a walk. A ball and a strike. Tap to Lopez, and that'll end the inning. Giants need 2 to tie, 3 to take the lead. Crawford's going to lead things off. It's 5-3 Marlins.
By Honda. We think the big moment in this ball game was in the second inning when D. Gordon stepped up with 2 outs and hits a gapper in right center field. And Gordon, with outstanding speed, would go all the way around for his first home run as a Marlin, and that made it a 3-1 ball game. It really has been the difference in this ball game. Because of that, he was our player of the game, brought to you by Honda. The pitcher now for these Marlins is going to be their closer, A.J. Ramos. 10 saves and 13 opportunities. 35th game that he has been in. 44 strikeouts in 34 2/3. Nobody's really hitting the guy. Righties, lefties. He's been pretty nasty. And what he features is a low 90s cut with a big over-the-top curveball, slider, changeup. See a lot of cutters.
And here he's facing Crawford. And Crawford takes a strike. Brandon Crawford has popped out twice and he's bounced out to first. Swing. Hanging him up. Nothing in 2. Got him.
Caught him at 96. And that's more than a low 90s fastball. That's high velocity and puts it right above the hands. A perfect location. That's 5 Giants have gone down. 5 in a row, struck out. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Just above the hands, middle in. So an 0 for 4 night for Crawford.
Susak takes high. Susak is 0 for 3. Taps this one to third. Rojas bare hands and throws, and they got him. What a play. Rojas's throw is up the line. And a nice play by the first baseman, Bohr, to stay on the bag, or at least Angel Hernandez thought he stayed on the bag. Giants will take a look at it.
You saw the words from Ron Modus. He's out. I don't know which part of the play was more spectacular. The barehanded slap. Remember, Ramos just came in this ball game. But watch Bohr falling down across the bag, and he still spears the one hop. And man, it's a spectacular defense for both players. Wow.
So here's Blanco. Blanco takes the strike. Blanco 1 for 3. One ball and 1 strike. There's another look.
I mean, really, Bohr didn't even have time to really take another stride with his left foot. He just sort of falls to the ball. And through it all, he still has concentration to center the ball right in the sweet spot of the glove. Great play.
1 and 2. Larry Adrianza is on deck. And that's bounce to Bohr. And that's the ball game. So game 1 in this 3-game series, it goes to the Miami Marlins, who open up with a very nice win. And Matt Latos pitched pretty well. And the Giants, usually on the road, will score more than 3 runs, but not tonight.
Well, exceptional bullpen work from these Miami Marlins. Really saw some outstanding relief work. 7 in a row to end it, retired to end it for the Giants. So a frustrating way to start a road trip.
Final score, Marlins 5, Giants 3. Stay tuned. Esurance Giants postgame live starts right now.